Listen, for centuries, we've been told a very specific, almost comforting story about our past. You know the one? It's that linear, predictable crawl from primitive hunter-gatherers straight up to modern society. But what if the actual, physical evidence, the stuff scattered all across the globe, tells a completely different story? An impossible story. Today, in this explainer, we are analyzing a fascinating source that dives deep into the megalithic anomalies that mainstream science genuinely struggles to explain. Get ready, because we're taking a journey through some of history's most persistent, mind-bending mysteries.
Okay, let's dive right into this. The central question posed by our source material today is basically guaranteed to challenge your perspective. It highlights this growing, highly controversial theory that the colossal megalithic structures found on almost every single continent, well, they weren't constructed by our ancestors at all. Instead, the source suggests they were built by a highly advanced ancient civilization, or perhaps, and the source boldly goes there, by extraterrestrials. So let's actually look at the evidence they present. Section 1. The weight of history. Let's look at the physical anomalies that challenge the mainstream consensus. Mainstream science tells us the Great Pyramids are just elaborate royal tombs, right? But the source points out a massive discrepancy here, specifically their absolutely mind-boggling mathematical precision. I mean, just look at the sheer scale of the Great Pyramid of Giza. We're talking about over 2 million individual stone blocks, and these aren't easy to carry bricks. Each block weighs between 3 and 30 tons, with some of the really colossal stones reaching 50 tons. Just try to imagine the logistics of lifting that today, let alone thousands of years ago.
And this brings us to a massive logistical puzzle. Experts estimate this whole project would require a dedicated workforce of 20,000 people, laboring on-site every single day for 20 years. Yes, obviously pharaohs were revered, but you really have to wonder, does it logically track that an entire society would expend 2 decades of back-breaking, monumental effort just to house one single human's remains? It's a huge commitment of resources.
Adding to this puzzle is the sarcophagus itself. Deep inside the pyramid sits the solid granite box weighing 10 tons. But there is a literal physical impossibility here. This 10-ton stone is actually too large to fit through the tunnels leading into the chamber. So it couldn't have been carried in later. The entire massive pyramid had to be constructed around it, which heavily implies sophisticated lifting and architectural technology that supposedly didn't even exist yet.
And the timeline? Well, the timeline gets even stranger. The source highlights geological studies of the Sphinx that reveal heavy rain and water erosion. Why does this matter? Because Egypt hasn't seen that kind of continuous rainfall for at least 10,000 to 12,000 years. According to the source, this completely shatters the accepted timeline, placing the construction of these monuments in an era long before humans were doing anything more advanced than hunting and gathering.
Section 2. The Underground Network. Let's explore the hidden world right beneath our feet.
So, if an advanced civilization actually existed 12,000 years ago, what else did they build? The source shifts our focus over to Europe, specifically to the research of German archaeologist Dr. Heinrich Kusch. He spent years studying a massive network of Neolithic underground tunnels. And the source highlights that thousands of these tunnels practically carve up the entire European continent. They create this continuous subterranean path stretching all the way from Scotland down to the Mediterranean. And the kicker? They all date back roughly 12,000 years.
Now, what was the actual purpose of this massive network? The source outlines several theories. Were they used for safe travel across dangerous, predator-filled lands? Maybe they were bunkers for escaping conflict, or complex, hidden trade routes. It's a mystery because some tunnels are barely a meter wide, while others open up into these vast corridors and chambers. It really begs a serious question. Who possessed the incredible engineering technology to excavate a transcontinental subway system during the Stone Age?
Section 3. The Ancient Power Grid. This is where we look at pyramids as actual generators.
The existence of high-tech builders naturally leads to the question of power, right? I mean, you can't light massive underground networks without some form of electricity. Here, the source pivots to a really captivating theory, the idea that the pyramids acted as generators for a global wireless energy network. The concept is that by capturing cosmic energy and interacting with the Earth's magnetic field, these structures allegedly distributed electricity across the planet without cables. Basically, imagine ancient Wi-Fi, but for power. Now, the source backs up this power grid theory with some pretty startling evidence. First off, pyramids still emit electromagnetic pulses today, which is allegedly why flights are banned from passing directly above them. Second, Their original flat limestone casings would have perfectly reflected solar energy, and they were topped with highly conductive gold capstones. Even the inner tunnels are lined with slightly radioactive granite. Plus, ancient Greek scholars reported seeing underground Egyptian temples that were permanently illuminated, but there were no torches, no soot on the ceilings, and no visible fire whatsoever.
A really fascinating detail here hones in on the very top of the Great Pyramid. The ultimate apex is famously missing. The source theorizes that a crucial piece of hardware is absent, specifically, a massive, crystal-like energy-gathering receiver. The idea is that without this vital component, the giant machine was basically rendered permanently offline.
Section 4. Out of place, out of time. Let's look at some major historical anomalies.
So, if there really was a global wireless power grid, there must have been devices tapping into it, right? The source rapidly fires off a list of historical anomalies to prove exactly this. We see ancient Indian texts, allegedly millions of years old, describing flying machines. There are airplane-shaped gold figures found in South Africa. But probably the most grounded anomaly they point out is Tutankhamun's gold-plated throne. The gold layer on it is so flawlessly thin and uniform that, according to the source, such precision can only be achieved today through modern electrical electroplating, and that was over 2,000 years ago.
Beyond the physical artifacts, there are out-of-place texts. The source draws our attention to something called the inventory stele, discovered right on the Giza Plateau. This ancient text drops an absolute bombshell on the mainstream narrative. It explicitly states that the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx already existed, and that they belonged to the goddess Isis long before the pharaoh Khufu even came to power. According to this stele, Khufu didn't build them at all. He merely ordered repair work.
And here, the source introduces a deeply conspiratorial twist. While the inventory stele actually used to be available for public viewing, it has since been locked away in a hidden storage vault in a Cairo museum. The source argues that mainstream authorities actively hide or just dismiss artifacts like this, simply because acknowledging them would require completely rewriting human history from the ground up.
Section 5. The Master Architects. The Search for a Lost Civilization.
Bringing all these wild threads together, the source presents its core thesis. These monolithic stone structures are the indestructible remnants of a lost civilization. But obviously, this raises the ultimate mystery. Where did they go? How does an entire global, high-tech society just simply vanish without a trace? To answer this, the source points to global mythologies and ancient Indian legends which famously prophesy that the gods who came from the sky will one day return.
What's particularly intriguing is how the source interprets ancient carvings depicting the relationship between humanity and these so-called master architects. When you look closely at the temple walls, earthlings seem to coexist with these advanced beings. We weren't the rulers, obviously, but we weren't heavily enslaved either. It points to a highly complex, really mysterious coexistence during prehistoric times.
The explainer concludes with a deeply provocative thought, one really designed to shatter our everyday perception of reality. Think about it. If a superior intelligence-seated civilization built incredible wireless energy monuments all over the world, and then just vanished, what exactly is our role? The source asks the ultimate question. Is our current civilization artificial? Are we essentially living in a constructed matrix just left behind to inhabit a world they designed? It's a massive cliffhanger. So what do you take away from all this? Are the pyramids just elaborate stone tombs, or are they broken machines from a forgotten, highly advanced chapter of Earth's history? Let us know what you think, and keep questioning the narrative.